welcome back to UE5 BP Guru. Today, we're back in the Pokemon Members tutorial series, and we're at a bit of a crossroads because I could go into XP, but I'm being lazy because it's very complicated code. But we can't go into items, like using items or capturing creatures until we actually get some items in the game. So I thought we'd kind of go down that route and get the foundations to our item setup and get item pickups working over the next couple of episodes. And then we can access our inventory and kind of go from there. So we're going to need a new folder. And we're going to call this inventory, I guess, is a good name. And we'll go in there. We're going to create a bunch of enums and a bunch of structs and a data table in this episode. That's what we're kind of aiming to do. So without further ado, let's go to enumeration. We'll do E battle item. We'll do E evolution item. We'll do another one that is food. I'm not going to do food items in this game. We'll do held item. We'll do we need one more, which is E item type. Okay, so that should be all we need for enumeration. You could do one actually that is also we could do this actually on the struts. That's fine, thinking about it. So we also want to get a few struts. So let's go into structures, and we're going to do F base inventory slot. That's going to be all of our basic information in there. We're going to do F battle item. We're going to do another strut. We're going to do F capture item. And then we're going to do we're going to do we'll do F inventory. And then final one we'll do is we'll do F player inventory. So this one will be our inventory. This is what's going to go on the player. This inventory widget is just going to be a breakdown of everything else. And then we're going to have a data table off of that will basically store information for all of our items. And then the player will only hold the name of the item and the quantity of the item that they have. So save all of that. Let's I didn't save. Let's save. There we go. And we'll open up the player inventory first because that's very, very simple. We just need to add two items. One is going to be of a name value, and we're just going to call this item name. And then we're just going to have an integer, and we'll call this the quantity. And save. So that's all we need for the player. We can literally just go into our third-person character, and we can just add a new variable here, and we'll call this F player inventory. And we'll make that an array, and we'll just give it the name trainer inventory. And that's literally what we need to do for the player. So the player now has an inventory where we can add and remove items, whatever we need to do. So I'm going to close some of these up because some of these aren't relevant to today's tutorial. I was just messing around since the last one. So let's just do that, and we can close that one down. So if we come back into here, that one's set up. We have our inventory. Now we just need to basically set up the actual inventory itself. So for battle items, what we need to know is it a healing item? Is it a stat item? Or is it a condition item? You can just leave condition, stat, and healing if you'd rather. If you want to keep it looking a little bit nicer. That's all we need to know for that. For evolution item, we're going to cover evolution down the line, so I'm not going to bother doing that today. But just for now, we'll say is it condition? Is it evolution stone? Or is it trade? That's kind of what we need to know for that. So we can now go down to the held item. And this is more just a list of held items you could have. So I'm trying to think of some of the held items you'd normally get in Pokemon. You have things like, well, the first one should always be none in this scenario. Then we want to have, I think there's like a headband. I'm trying to remember them. You have choice. I'm trying to think of stuff that's not band related. You have like grass, seed. That it doesn't really matter at this point because we're not touching held items yet. But basically, this would be your list of held items that you could have. So that will do for that. And then we have the item type. Now, the item type is your breakdown of different items. So you would have things like usable item. Then you would have capture item. You would have TM item. You would have held item. Evolution item. Etc. Then you have like your junk, which is like your sellable items. And any extras that I'm forgetting, you can add in here. We're only worried about usable items and capture items for now. The rest will work on down the line. So we'll close these all down. And now we just need to go through and set up the individual struts. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to set up our base information. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set these to text. The first one actually will be a name value. So name value. And this will be the item name. Then we're going to have item description. Then we're going to have things like our we don't need to know quantity, but what you might want to know is buy price. And you also might want to know what your sell price is. Because I'm assuming at some point you'll want to set up a shop. So having that information is always useful. We also want to know the evolution. We're going to put the evolution stuff into its own separate strut, actually, thinking about it. So we'll leave the evolution up for now, but this is where it will be. And then we also, actually, before we put that in, what we'll want to do is have our item type so that we know what we're dealing with. So if we put in our E item type, then we can select what type of item it is. And depending on what the type of item is, if we're using it or if we're going to do whatever we're doing with it, we can essentially switch on enum and figure out what we want to do with it. So that's what we want there. You also might want things like a item icon, which is typically a texture. Wherever it is, texture. If it doesn't come through as a texture, change it to an image, but it'll be one or the other. And then we want things like, we want to know what our battle item info is. So like our usable items. So F battle item. We also want our capture item info. So again, F capture type, capture item. And we'll want a bunch of other information, I'm sure. But for now, this will be enough to get us by. basically, if you want to change anything, just add it in, and it will just update, and you'll be able to fill in the missing gaps. The other things we need to set up are our battle items. So battle items typically just need to know if it's healing. We want to know battle item. So item type, and then we'll want things like heal amount. We can always add to this down the line, of course. I'm going to make that a float just because floats seem to work better with other floats a lot of the time. We also want to know, is it a revival item? That'll be a Boolean. And we'll also want to know stat changes. So if it changes the stats. So we'll want this to be a name map like we do with our other stat information, and it'll be an integer. And then we'll also want to know condition heal, which we can delete that one. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Let's change it back to a single, and we want that to be condition heat conditions and condition healed. So that's what we'll heal with. That's what it'll heal. That's what stats it'll change. That's if it's a revival item, we'll give it like half health for this example, and then we have the heal amount. So you can change and add to yours as well if you want it to do extra things. You just need to play around with it and add the conditions that you want for your items. The other one we need to do is our F capture item. I'll go over this when we come to do captures. But again, we want to know a few things. Is infinity? Sorry, your game is Master Ball? Question mark. That's what yours is. So is it a Master Ball? If it is a Master Ball, we know it's always going to catch, so we can just skip past everything else. There's a few other things we need to know, like the ball mod, the ball modification, the there's another thing we'll need. There's the rest I think comes from the Pokemon. I'll double check, and I will amend it down the line when we do capturing. But this is just to get us going with our items. So once we've done that, we can basically add all of this lovely stuff to this inventory type. So we'll do base item info, F base inventory slot. We'll do, and that should actually be enough, thinking about it. To be honest, we don't even need inventory, I'm thinking about it now, because it's all in here anyway. So let's try and do a data table first. So miscellaneous, and we'll go data table. We'll do our F base. Where are you? Base inventory slot. Click OK, and then we'll just call this the data DT for data table. Rename DT, so data table item info. So every time we use an item, we're going to call it from here and basically work it through it on here. So for example, if we just do a Pokeball for now, the item name is Pokeball. A Pokeball used by all trainers. We know they cost 200, sell them for 100. It's a capture item. And then in our capture info, it's not a Master Ball. I think the ball modification is something like 12. Again, I'll get all the correct details when we come on to capturing. And then if you wanted to, you could say, okay, add a potion in. And we could say, okay, potion is the item name. A healing potion that heals 20 HP to any Pokemon. And again, I'm pretty sure those sell for 200 and you sell them for 100. It's a usable item. And if we come down here, we can say it is a healing type. It heals for 20. It's not a revival item. It doesn't have any stat changes, and it doesn't heal any conditions. Stat changes, I will teach you how to set that up as a default, because you will need to if you ever want to add status items in. And then let's just add one more just for argument's sake. So let's say we have an antidote. Heals any Pokemon afflicted with poison. And I think you can sell those for 150 or something like that. I don't know, whatever it is. And we know it doesn't do any healing. We know it's a condition item, and the condition heals for poison. So it checks if it's poisoned. So we save that, and that's another item setup. And what we'll do is basically we don't need to ever touch the data table until we use an item. But when we pick up an item, it gets added to the data table. So basically what we'll do now we have this foundation down, what we can do in the next episode is set up an item pickup so that we can pick up some Pokeballs and potions and stuff. Then from there, we can then go into our code in the battle proxy and set it up that we can use some items and also that we can capture some other Pokemon. And then that's when we start building up teams, and we can then finish up by getting XP and leveling up those teams, etc. And once all that's done, we can then basically start setting up that we can battle friends or other people in the world. And yeah, and then we can kind of take a look at where else we want to go with this project. I know a lot of people want me to do following Pokemon, which I will do. We'll have already done item pickup, so it's kind of dependent on where we go from there. I might cover trading down the line, but if it all depends. I'm not going to show every single mechanic of making a Pokemon game. The whole point was just the battling side of things. So, but I will possibly touch on a few other bits. But we'll see how we get on. But thank you so much, guys, for watching. Either way, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time. Much love. Take care. Bye.